Insights.
This is Akashvani. In the program Insights, now we bring you a discussion on Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals, driving India's logistics transformation. The participants are Professor Dr. Manoj Choudhary, Vice Chancellor, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, and Lalima Aneja Dang, Anchor.
Today, India is world's fourth largest economy, aiming to be the third very soon. And this requires a lot of vision, of which infrastructure plays a very important part. Handling cargo efficiently by capacity building and making it cost effective is also very, very significant. PM Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals, GCTs as we call them, are now driving India's logistics transformation. Well, for more on this, we are now joined by Professor Manoj Choudhary. Welcome, Professor Saab, to Akashvani.
Namaste.
Professor Choudhary, how significant has been the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, which aims to transform freight movement across railways, highways, ports and airports, trying to make this into a seamless multimodal connectivity?
You asked about PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. This is our single biggest National Master Plan that was announced on 13th of October 2021 with a mindset that our infrastructure planning need to significantly improve in the sense that we should foresee the obstacles that are likely to come. And right at the project planning stage, we must have data-driven approaches to look at the obstacles and make our plans and the DPRs better. Because it is said that good planning makes half the job of execution done already. And while our country is progressing rapidly, as you mentioned, currently fourth largest economy to become the third largest soon, infrastructure plays a very key role in our journey towards Viksit Bharat. Today, every year we are spending close to 11 lakh crore rupees as capital expenditure for infrastructure modernization, whether for railways, for highways, for aviation sector. And in order to make sure that these developments happen in sync and not in isolation, PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan focused on using technology for making informed data-driven decisions so that our infrastructure planning can be better. An extent of this is that any project which was more than 500 crore rupees actually by any ministry cannot be approved unless it goes through PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan portal and objections and opinions from other related ministries be obtained. So let me give an example for this. Yes. For example, if a new railway line is to be laid, then possibly the trouble that can arise based on historical data is that maybe land acquisition need to be done because it is passing through some route for which land is currently maybe occupied by people other than railways. The railway line might pass through the forest land for which clearances must be obtained from Ministry of Environment and Forest, and so on and so forth. Or at some point of time, the railway line might cross and intersect with some highways. Therefore, we have to already plan of underbridges or overbridges or some kind of a mechanism. Therefore, if we start thinking about these challenges after we start our new projects of railway line, then definitely we will run into infrastructure delays, the project delays. Those delays will run into cost overruns, which ultimately will impact taxpayer. So PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan basically aimed at bringing the efficiency in our infrastructure project planning and execution. Another example that I can give, for example, if we were to lay a road, if you know, maybe 2 decades back, new road will be laid, and after some days, maybe because of the gas line to be laid or because of some optical fiber to be laid, a new road will be dug up. But what if PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, through technology, enable us that we anticipate the problems that are likely to come in future and take into account those challenges, then we can actually do much of our work much faster and in prescribed cost. So PM Gati Shakti basically aimed at that. In last 4 years since its inception on October 13th, 2021, as I highlighted, more than 240 projects of 15.39 lakh crore were evaluated through PM Gati Shakti. One example that I can give, a railway line which was getting built, new railway tracks that were getting built at 4 kilometers a day. the speed has risen now to 15 kilometer a day.
Wow.
National highways that were getting built up at 14 kilometer a day, it has sped up now to 34 kilometer a day. A new project approval, for example, for highways that was taking up 6 months in terms of NOCs and so on, can possibly now be done in 2 weeks. Therefore, ministry across ministry. Today, 16 central ministries of the Government of India related to infrastructure, all the 36 states plus union territories, 53 departments of the Government of India, all had adopted PM Gati Shakti as a most important national master plan or a framework for infrastructure planning.
All right, you pointed very correctly that how the logistics, once they are improved, how it affects the common man, and how you can't talk about exports or one part of economy and forget the other. It's all interlinked. And as you just said, if you want to be a manufacture hub, we have to ensure that transportation logistics are properly executed and we reduce the costs, because that will affect our exports, our consumption and our demand supply pattern as well. Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals, GCTs, how are they driving India's logistics transformation? What have we achieved so far? Let's take a look.
Today, moving goods across the country is becoming cheaper, faster and more organized. A major reason behind this change is the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, which connects railways, roads, ports and airports into one common system. Under this plan, Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals are being developed to improve the way goods are transported. These modern cargo terminals help reduce delays, cut costs and support cleaner transport by shifting more freight from road to railways, strengthening India's overall logistics network. So far, Indian Railways has approved 306 terminals across the country, and 118 of them are already operational. These commissioned terminals together have a handling capacity of about 192 million tons per year, helping move more goods by rail and reduce logistics costs. The policy has also attracted strong private interest, with around 8,600 crore rupees invested so far. Rail-based transport has helped shift large volumes of freight from roads, easing congestion and cutting carbon emissions up to 90%. Freight earnings from these terminals have risen to fourfolds in recent years, showing their growing importance in India's logistics system.
How is modernization of Gati Shakti Multimodal Cargo Terminals, GCTs as we call them, helping in increasing efficiency? Is EOL, engine on load as we call it, operations one such plan? How do you explain, Professor Choudhary?
I explained to you about infrastructure, then I explained to you about services. Now, in order for logistics services to improve, we would, for example, if you look at per kilometer, per ton cost of moving goods from one place to other, railways is the most cheapest in the whole country, is the cheapest. Roughly around 1 rupees and 92 paisa per ton per kilometer is the cost if you move things by railways. In comparison, if you move by roads, you end up almost double the cost, 3 rupees and 78 paisa for per ton per kilometer. Any kid can also say that if we have to improve logistics efficiency, we should therefore move more items by railways, which is half the price compared to roads. However, if you look at the market share, currently the market share in India for logistics, 65% of the things are moved to road and around 27% by railways. Therefore, if we have to push for down our logistics cost, if we have to improve logistics efficiency, we should increase more and more portion of freight traffic to move by railways. Now, railways traditionally had a problem of last mile connectivity and first mile connectivity. What that means is that if we have to move some items from one place to other, we have to ensure that they are pushed to the railway station first, and from railway station they are collected. If nearest whichever railway station they are pushed, loaded or unloaded, that place we do not have a good terminal facility of loading, unloading. We do not have a good highway or a port connected. And that is what is now being called as a Gati Shakti Cargo Terminal. So under Gati Shakti Cargo Terminal, what happens is that the terminal from where loading, unloading happens is next to the railway. It is well connected through multiple modes of transportation, whether through ports, whether through highways, and different modes of transportation. When that happens, the loading, unloading is better. When you talked about engine unloading, EOL or other things, that means that there is a dedicated locomotive that is working, waiting for things to be loaded. And not that items have arrived and then train will come next day and then you load and then things go on so far. This is Indian Railways' proactive approach to make sure that our terminals operations become much more efficient.
Yes.
Under Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy, more private players are encouraged to set up. Currently, as you know, more than 8,600 crore rupees kind of investment that has happened.
Yes.
Out of the 300 plus Gati Shakti cargo terminals that were announced, 118 are already almost functional. Manesar being one of the great example of that.
Right.
And therefore, three aspects. PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan for superior infrastructure creation. National Logistics Policy for logistics efficiency building in the country. Gati Shakti cargo terminals as one of the great approach in ensuring that much of the freight traffic can move from road to railways. And in fact, over the last few years or last several years, approximately 2.6 billion tons of cargo has moved from roads to railways. Therefore, the country is progressing in the right direction by increasing the portion of railways in freight traffic movement and therefore improving on the logistics efficiency of the country.
We've achieved a lot so far on Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals, GCTs. But way to go. What are the aspirations? Let's listen in.
The impact of the Gati Shakti cargo terminals is being shaped by a growing network of modern freight hubs across the country. One major example is the Manesar terminal in Haryana. It is the country's largest automobile cargo terminal and can handle up to 4.5 lakh vehicles every year. It is helping in reduction of transport time and cost. In the northeast, terminals at Moinar Band and Sinamara in Assam are strengthening regional trade by moving essential goods such as fuel, food grains, fertilizers and containers. In Gujarat, the new Sanjali terminal marks a key step towards faster and cleaner freight movement. Going forward, the Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy aims to build a world-class and competitive logistics network. Digital integration will be strengthened through the Gati Shakti platform to allow real-time tracking. The long-term goal is to position India as a global logistics hub while keeping costs low and promoting cleaner and greener transport solutions.
Here I want to talk about two things. One is the role of privatization in this new policy, how it has helped in fostering innovation. And secondly, when we talk about moving from road to railways, we also move towards reducing our carbon footprint. And third point is a digitized India. Is it helping in transforming India's logistics? Please throw light on these three things.
As we all know, railway is at this moment, more than 99% of the railway is electrified. That means railway is much more a greener approach compared to roads at this point of time. Since 2014, when I highlighted approximately 2.7 billion tons of freight was shifted from road to rail, it also saved approximately 150 million tons of carbon dioxide. And therefore, much more environment-friendly options happen. When we look at privatization, of course, through private sector participation in the infrastructure projects, in the PPP modes and so on, it is happening by the right kind of policies. So what are those kind of policies? Those policies happen that how, for example, the approvals for building these Gati Shakti cargo terminals will happen, or how the private sector investment can be mobilized in the sense that when you, for example, allow the railway land for Gati Shakti cargo terminal build-up, what kind of a policy framework is enabled from railways in terms of policy continuity, policy stability, in terms of also providing detailed guidelines of implementing how the operational standards are to be maintained, how the amendments happen for increasing efficiency of these terminals, bringing cost efficiency. So as you know, private sector, when it invests, it also looks for stable policy continuity as well as it looks for the government sector support. And through that, there is a good amount of private sector participation, as I highlighted. Since the inception of the Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy, more than 8,600 crore rupees of private investment has been mobilized. So all the three aspects on the greener side, on the privatization side, as well as on the logistics efficiency side, as I mentioned, that more approximately 2.7 billion tons of cargo has shifted from roads to railways and therefore improving the logistics efficiency in the country.
Yes, the fact that freight revenues from GCTs have grown fourfold between 2022 to 2023 and 2024-25, reaching 12,608 crores, goes to show that we are very moved to reaching our goals of ease of doing business, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. On that note, thank you very much, Professor Choudhary, for throwing light on such an important topic as Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals and how it is driving India's logistics transformation. Thank you, Professor Choudhary, for talking to Akashvani.
Thank you so much.
You were listening to a discussion on Gati Shakti Multi-Modal Cargo Terminals, driving India's logistics transformation. The participants were Professor Dr. Manoj Choudhary, Vice Chancellor, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, and Lalima Aneja Dang, Anchor.
Insights.